Alright, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 1 in this best of 5 series between Oxygen, aka Crazy Helm, and Unforgiven. Looks like we're going to start with the Linza Mirror. This is absolutely what I was expecting from Unforgiven. During our strategy talks, we both decided that opening with Linza would be one of the better things to do for a number of reasons. Oh, okay, this is not the Linza deck I was expecting from Oxygen.
Oh, wow.
2 Calgurs, 2 Mimics. This is an aggressive. Maybe it's the weapon focused deck there. What's he going to mulligan for? Okay, picks up the Tetsu Katana with the 2 Mimics there. That is, and because of the change, right? This wasn't possible before. I've tried this deck out myself. I have played double Mimic to get the Tetsu Katana, but you wouldn't normally be able to pay for the strike because it used to cost 8 and now costs 7. So that changed very relevant here. Going to use the Katana to kill the Calgur, which will deal 10, 11, 12 damage, and then has a strike for next chapters. So let's switch over to Crazy Helm and see what he is opening with. But this is a very, well, not the deck I was expecting to come out of Crazy Helm.
No, I mean, this is a very aggressive start for Chapter 1 Calgar.
Yeah.
Wasn't expecting a Chapter 1 Calgar,
yeah.
I'm not going to lie.
Chapter 1 Calgur PogChamp. We do see a Dust Devil come out, though, after killing the Ice Warrior, which does take 3 damage and then 2 from the Dust Devils. It has taken 5 damage, but in this matchup, you'd normally just not care about that. It wouldn't matter at all. You want to get your opponent's attack down very quickly. We see that Unforgiven is going first, so the fact that he decreased his opponent's attack is very relevant because it means that his opponent's Dust Devil might not resolve depending on the size of the weapon, as he wouldn't have enough attack to kill it. But that is not Oxygen's agenda at all. Crazy Helm here, aka Oxygen, just absolutely pummeling through him there and bringing him down to 13 life. I know for a fact, because I know exactly what deck Unforgiven runs, because it's exactly the same as my deck as we built it together. There's a lot of heals in the deck, but the question is, will he find them? He wasn't mulliganing for them, and he's definitely going to need them now.
Yeah, that's crazy. I just like to point. Well, I just like to point out that I'm just wondering what's going through Unforgiven's mind right now.
He's probably thinking, what the hell am I up against? This is a very, very odd deck. He's going to play Wilderness there, and that's going to be enough to kill him if he can't heal. Look, that's 11, 12, 13 damage exactly. Starts with the KGP agent. I believe we did see a fishing trawler in Unforgiven's hand, but it doesn't look like it's hit the board. Well, it's not going to matter even if it does, because it's not an instant heal anymore. And that's going to finish the game. A very, very quick game from an unexpected Linza deck, which, if I'm being honest, I think Crazy Helm drew quite well. But to be honest, I have no experience with that deck aside from when I built a similar one a very long time ago when Katana cost 8, but I imagine my deck's very different, and goes to show Crazy Helm is a good deck builder. I think that might be maybe inspired by Kishak, who did have a striking Linza deck that he was playing with on ladder, but I don't think it is Kishak's deck exactly, and I imagine there's a lot of Oxygen, i.e. Crazy Helm flair going on with that, but a very, very impressive first game, and what a way! I don't know if he was necessarily expecting his opponent to open with Linza, but it worked perfectly.
I'm actually taken back by that. That was a really quick game. I wasn't expecting that from a Linza matchup.
Linza, right, is usually like the longest matchups you can get. Yeah. Final fight, 1 attack, wet noodle fight at the end. Not here.
Especially a mirror. I mean, I was expecting like a 15 or 12 minute game, but no, that was like 3 minutes. Yeah. That's crazy. I'm just wondering what was going through Unforgiven's mind when he seen that Tetsu Katana into like a Calgar.
He was going first, and there are plenty of heals in the deck, and as a result of that, he was probably hoping to draw some heals. He was probably sees the Calgar, and he's like, what on earth am I up against? But yeah, no, he could have drawn his, I believe there is a full Tetsu in the deck, and he had 5 gold for it. He was going first. That would have been 14 life to Unforgiven, but didn't find that, nor any other heals, none at all that he found, aside from the fishing trawler, which was too late. You needed to play that on the previous chapter if you wanted to use it that chapter, and in a Linza mirror, you absolutely wouldn't think that you'd need it. You'd mulligan all those heals away, so I think they're, Unforgiven not finding the heals, and that's the reason for that, is he didn't mulligan for them. He didn't expect to need them, and Crazy Helm does take that win with this very clearly interesting deck, and it worked. Yeah. So very happy to see that. But game 1 does go to Crazy Helm,
it does.
We'll have to see how this series shapes up. Are you ready for game number 2?
Let's crack on.
Yeah, let's crack on. I think we can safely say Unforgiven got wrecked.
Yeah, he did. He got wrecked, and I feel ever so much better right now. My kale.
Your kale is. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, let's click into game number 2 in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Alright, welcome back to game number 2 in this best of 5 series. Unforgiven looks like he's going to queue up Linza again. I imagine it'll be the same Linza. We didn't make any other Linza decks, so here, the reason for this is your opponent is quite likely to play Ariane at some point, and a lot of people, we're expecting the Linza deck to be quite good against what we were expecting. You have to win with Linza at least once, or Ozan, and then the other 2 decks would use are, of course, Raptor and Ariane, which we think are much stronger in the current meta. So you have to win with one of these, what we call bad decks, and we thought we'd start with Linza and keep playing it until you get a win, because, of course, you're going to see Ariane at some point. If they play with Raptor first, you'd then expect the Ariane. You get a win with it at some point. You have to do that. So he wants to get his Linza win before he moves on to perhaps the stronger decks here. But I've talked enough. What are we seeing from Chapter 1, Zelks?
We're seeing a Dust Devil that's going to come out lowering his attack down to 1, which means he's going to take quite a lot of damage from both the Void Brawler and the Counter-Trainer. That's going to put Oxygen down at quite a low level of HP on Chapter 1.
Yeah, and this Dust Devil, it will resolve still. I thought that Wilderness, I quite like that what he did there. It would have actually stopped the Dust Devil from resolving if it wasn't the Ice Warrior. Any other weapon, and it would have used up 1 durability. You'd only have 2 left, and then the Dust Devil wouldn't resolve as you wouldn't have a weapon by the time that you finish killing it. So I really respect that Wilderness there. I'm not sure if I'd have done it, because it's ambitious. It almost worked though, so clearly a very, very strong player knows what he's doing with the Wilderness placement there. But I'd like to save them for later on in the game. He does take quite a lot of damage from the Count Draenor. Fortunately though, isn't going to take anything from this because it's already dead. But still takes a net total of 2 due to the way that works. And but 2 attack, Dust Devil worked out, and Raptor never feels happy when he's going into Chapter 2 with less than 15 life and only 2 attack.
Exactly.
And no card draw.
At this point, you're looking at trying to get to maybe 3 or 4 attack, just trying to out AP your opponent, I guess you could class it as, especially when you're against the Linza, all those debuffs.
You want to get it up very high very quickly, and I think it's very difficult for Linza to like punish you for that unless they do run double Karam, but even then it's by no means guaranteed that they'll sort of win the game here. I'm really not sure what he does here for Oxygen. Does have 2 attacks, so he's going to be able to kill that White Wolf, but if something like an Ogre Brute comes out, then that White Wolf's going to punish him, but I feel like he has to do it really, because you need that gold for the Monolith Chamber to work. The next thing he's asking himself is, do I play the Krasian Warrior? Because considering what we've seen, that Chapter 1 Dust Devil is quite likely, it's quite possible that there are Ferns in the deck and work orders and things like that would increase that Krasian Warrior's health. He doesn't want to take any more damage. He's already very low, and he's concerned about that, and rightfully so.
It's not just that as well, he'd overdraw. I mean, he's on 5 cards in hand, he'll be at 7 with his White Wolf. And then
that's very true.
Yeah, so the 3 cards, 2 cards he gets from the Krasian are basically dead.
You're absolutely right. Yeah, so no point playing that. But what a hand though. 2 Jads that he can't kill. He's probably not happy. But yeah, you're right. It was probably more like there's no point to play it for Ferns, and of course the cards would be pointless as well. Exactly. I like this tool belt though from Unforgiven. It's very likely that his opponent would start with the Sergeant Slimetoes in slot 1 because he has very low attack and he needs to ramp up quickly with that 3 extra attack you get from the Sergeant Slimetoes weapon to then kill things that are big. And it would have killed that weapon, that tool belt placement. There was no Slimetoes, though, didn't happen, and looks like it doesn't matter, though. In this matchup, I don't think you're expecting very much value out of the tool belt. It's usually there more for the Ozans and the Linza Mirror. But, his opponent quite low on health, and as a result of that, is finding it tough to get his attack up any higher, because he's definitely not going to be able to face tank a Jad, and he's definitely not going to be too comfortable killing things like Dagannoth Sentinel. So Linza in a good spot at this moment. But if I'm being entirely honest, Alex, I think that this matchup is borderline unwinnable for Linza, considering the deck that I know Unforgiven is playing versus this Raptor that we can see. So I think, I think Raptor is a very, very strong chance of winning this no matter what, because there's just no win condition outside of out-healing your opponent, which you just can't do in this matchup. Look, Tokash and Krill and Dark Beasts, you can do like 40 damage in a single chapter. There's no way like Linza can predict a heal mid-chapter. I just can't see this winning at all. So
I was going to say that we've seen Crazy Helm, aka Oxygen, thinking about playing that Jad at the end there. It's against the Linza that may have like a major Mary. It's quite a big risk because if he does lose that weapon, he will lose. Because he will take 15 from Jad and being at 11. It's quite a risky play, but I don't know if he needed to actually do it. I don't think I would have done it myself. I mean, Yeah, they're gonna drag on second, aren't you? If I was going first, I would have probably considered doing Jad first next turn, but it's worked out for him this time. I mean, there's no weapon destruction by Unforgiving there, and he also has used a tool belt before.
Yeah, I like this play. I think it's you're quite far behind already. You can't keep playing safe when you're this. You do need to take those risks. But Major Mary, absolutely a concern. I know for a fact it's not actually in his deck, that card, but there is another tool belt, and that's absolutely something you should be worried about. But has already seen a tool belt, so probably feels a bit more comfortable killing this. But up to 9 attack now. I know 3 of that's from the weapon, but has the attack needed to kill the next Jad. This is where I'd be a bit more scared of playing Jad because your opponent's going first and could tool belt you. But I'd absolutely still play that Jad. You've already seen one tool belt. It's possible that he plays another, but I don't know if you can necessarily. Depends what you draw really. Might just play the Sentinel, which is a lot less risky. Absolutely, and then you're actually just going to play another Slime Toes. Like even if the tool belt hits, he's absolutely okay.
Yeah, I think that's something I'd do as well. To be honest with you, I think I'd play the Slime Tons then to Sentinel. It's a much safer play, and you're guaranteed that 5 health.
Yeah, but I think really all Oxygen needs to do is just play it reasonably safe. Don't do anything silly. Like he doesn't really have to do anything to win. All Oxygen has to do is just play the game and get to the final fight, because he'll have far more attack than his opponent. There's plenty of heals, like double Coloromancer. There's that Dagonoff Sentinel's going to give him health. You get armor off the Jad. All of these things, you get so much armor that I just can't see him losing. I just think Oxygen has already won against this, what is effectively a Clown Fiesta Linza that does nothing but healing. And in this matchup, that healing is entirely not relevant.
I don't know though, because we're seeing Linza now stacking up to 4 AP. You got to keep in mind, Oxygen is still quite low on health.
Yeah.
And with this heal, he would be on 13 health with 8 armor. Gets the armor from Jad as well. But looking at Unforgiving now with 59 total health, if you
60
life,
as well. Yeah, jeez.
60 life. I mean, it's going to take quite a bit for him to get through that. But if he keeps building AP up, then yes, I do agree with you. I mean, it is coming to the final chapter next turn. Personally, I probably would have played the White Wolf just to get those 2 extra cards and see what it is. And you also then have the goal to do Monolith Chamber next turn. And obviously, you wouldn't have overdrawn as well. Personally,
so let's see what he draws.
AP, I would have played it.
I think, Krill, I think like that armor's not going to be there by the time he gets to the final fight. He's got the... that Krill's not actually very useful with Tokash. I think it's there for the Dark Beasts. Doesn't draw a Dark Beast. Yeah, if you had a Dark, you'd play Krill into Dark Beast, and then you can kill the Dark Beast with the weapon. You wouldn't take any damage, and then Tokash would be dead by the time you get to it because Krill killed it. All of these things, but does have a Tokash there. He's probably still going to just use Krill anyway. Kill the demon. I think something.
Now sorry.
I think. Go ahead.
I was going to say, if he played the White Wolf last chapter, he could have played Monolith first, and he wouldn't have lost a slot there. Which means he could have got the Tokash off, even if it's just base 10 damage. That's still base 20. Oh. So I do feel playing that White Wolf last chapter is going to maybe cost him the game.
I think I was anticipating him on having more life than this and being able to do a lot of damage very quickly. He's still going to be able to do that with Tokash. It does take some, it does lose 1 AP here, but this is actually much, much closer than normal. We've got Unforgiven finding both the KGP agents and managing to get both his Dust Devils off. That doesn't happen every game, I promise you. And the fact that it has, and look at Tool Belt there for the final. I think 8 damage there. Because he lost 1, he's taken 8 life, and that could cost him the match. He does have a lot more attack than his opponent. I'm surprised we didn't see a Tokash come down. I'm really am surprised about that. The extra damage it represents against Unforgiven's armor is huge. And actually, I don't think he can win. Look, 60 life. I'm surprised he was able, that Linza managed to take that much health into the final fight, considering Tokash and Dark Beasts and all of these things. There's so much damage potential for the Raptor to get Linza down quite low before going into the final fight, and they usually have more than double your attack power just to clear that. So actually, the fact that he won that is really, really bad really bad for him, because that was basically an unlosable matchup that he just lost. So
I think if it was me, I think the biggest issue there is the fact he lost that extra slot in the final chapter because of the White Wolf. He needed that 2 gold, and because of that, he couldn't play Tokash. And if he did have the gold beforehand, he could do Monolith Chamber into his second card, into Krill, into Tokash, and then he gets off another 20 damage, which effectively may have helped him. I believe it would have put him at least closer to winning. I'm not doing the math on the top of my head, but I think that was a misplay from him there.
Yeah,
Other than that, though, I mean, the game went pretty well for both players.
I see what you mean. What you mean there with could have played the wolf turn earlier. Still surprised to not see the Tokash, even if you are face tanking it for 6. But it just represents so much damage.
Yeah.
But that didn't happen. Didn't find the other any dark beasts as well, which he's probably quite upset about. You know, I'm sure his play would have trained. If he found the dark beast, he would have had Krill, dark beast, Tokash, so much damage, and he could have played the Dagannoth fledgling at the end for 6 life if he wanted to. I think actually that might have won him the game had he found that. But going all game without the dark beast, that's another reason. You know. So lots of things here clearly leading to that. But Linza, for whatever reason, won that game and is very, very lucky to do so. You absolutely do not expect to win that matchup, considering the deck that me and Unforgiven built. We've written it off, and the deck was built, it was aimed entirely at Ariane. We've written off the fact that it could even compete against Raptor, the way we built that deck. So very, very lucky for Unforgiven. The score is now 1-1. So this series shaping up, and we're going to get into game number 3 any moment now. Are you ready?
Yep, sweating a bit more now, but yeah, let's go.
Yeah, your Kale is perhaps not so safe anymore. I can see
Not
why
so
you'd be
safe
sweating.
anymore.
Yeah, here we go. In 3, 2, 1, let's go. Alright, so ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to game number 3 in this best of 5 series. Looks like I left in... what's he doing here? Let's take a look. Okay, so... He's clearly going to change the deck. That's probably why I left it in. I like to leave these things in. I like to see players, once they've seen what classes have come out and they know which are remaining. Obviously, once you win with a class, you can't use it. So we know for a fact that we're not going to be seeing Linza, which means that we're more likely to see Ariane. And for that reason, what did he just take out? I think it was a Dagannoth Sentinel. So he's going to put in... It depends on what he's...
It was a Tokash, I
believe. Oh, it was Tokash, was it? Okay.
I believe so.
Tokash didn't perform for him last game. He's like, screw Tokash, I'm taking this out. I'm surprised he's taken... Actually, no, I'm not that surprised. It depends what he puts in. Like a rock crab? Yeah, we're going to go for a rock crab there. So 6 extra life, and that makes sense, right? Considering his opponent has Ariane still available.
Exactly. That would be my concern now, is if he queues Ariane, then yeah. And well, as we see here, actually isn't a Ariane mirror. It looks like he didn't decide to go for Raptor.
No, well, he queued into Ariane, which is what he was teching for, but then doesn't pick the deck he just changed. So maybe some mind games going on. I'm going to change my deck around. Of course, Unforgiven has no idea what he was doing. There's a Kale. That's not a card that you're allowed to use.
Actually, it isn't, no. That's a good point.
I think I remember they actually resolved this on TeamSpeak. I think we'll see them quit any moment now, because I think I remember him saying I queued up with Kale, and he apologized for the fact that I'd have to edit this out, because I think they just quit the game instantly, and that's what they're going to do.
Two people this tournament have used Kale. Seems... You know, it's just that good of a card.
Yes, it's so good that people are trying to sneak it into their tournament games. Yeah, the other player was me. Whoops.
Yep, whoops. Yeah. And Pie Hat as well. Was it Yelps? Was it Yelps?
No, I didn't play that. It was Moena and Kale. Yeah, I wasn't aware of the no diamond rule at the time. My opponent didn't notice me playing the diamonds, though. He didn't say anything about them during the games. He didn't say anything about them after the games, so that kind of slid by. But absolutely, should anyone noticed it, it wouldn't have happened.
Yeah, exactly. We resolved it in the end, so it was all good. I mean, you and your opponent talked about it and everything else, and we came to a conclusion.
Yeah, I spoke to him about it, and everything's cool. All right, what's he going to queue? Looks like he's picked a deck called Umph. Maybe it's a deck by Umph, or maybe it's a deck all for Umph. Probably the latter.
Yeah, I assume it's a tech deck against his decks.
Yeah, I think it's probably a deck. Like Crazy Helm, I respect him very much as a deck builder. So this deck might be just geared straight up against like what he's expecting to see from Unforgiven. Undead Dragons and Divine Storms. This is, I think,
interesting hand.
I think this deck is tech more against Raptor, if I'm being entirely honest.
You think so?
Yep. With Undead Dragons and Divine Storms. In the mirror matchup, I don't think Divine Storm or Undead Dragon are very good cards. So we shall have to see how this works out for him. What has his opponent got there? This is actually... Well, I know for a fact this is my deck. Ooh. We built it together, we changed it slightly together, but I built this on stream and climbed about 45 prestige ranks with this deck that Unforgiven's using in a day. And I don't think it's quite as good as it was, as people have adapted to it, but this was directly after Troll. It's still a very strong deck, and it looks like Unforgiven's not too sure what he's going to be doing. It looks like, to begin with, though, quite a nice Chapter 1 coming out of Oxygen, though.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it looks like his Fern will hit the book, which is actually going to do quite a bit of damage.
Yeah, Book has 3 attack, right? You normally kill it in 1 hit. So, actually, Fern is really not very good in this matchup. It never really hits anything very big. Book, I think, is actually one of the better targets, and Jorga Shaman is quite a good target as well. But actually, it's not, because half the time they enfeeble the Jorga Shaman, and the fact that it has extra health is completely irrelevant. So, Fern, the fact that it doesn't draw you any gold and you take a lot of damage killing it is quite bad for you. But Unforgiven's hand this game was really not that good. I think he drew both books. And he's going to skip on slot 4 as well. That's a whole slot of tempo just gone.
Yeah, exactly. You've got to keep in mind, he also drew 2 cards as well, meaning this Joga Shaman's going to do so much more damage.
Yeah, it is.
I think he's taking, I think it might be 14. Just off the top of my head. Might be 14.
12 damage right 12. There.
Yeah.
Close. I believe... Why did he not place the book at the end? There was definitely a reason for it. But he could have avoided that, taking that 4 extra damage there had he done that, because, of course, his opponent goes first, and then he'd draw the cards afterwards. But there might have been a reason as to why. He's now...
Yeah.
Well, he could have moved it a slot up. Anyway, the point... What do we see? It looks like... Look at that. We do see Wind Surge and Archmage Seguro. Doesn't have the damage to kill his opponent, but... Will the Archmage be enough? By the looks of it, we do see Unforgiven really thinking here about enfeebling a Skeletal Mage, which is going to lose him the game because it's going to have more than 0 attack, which he's anticipating.
He's thinking about it. Oh, it's a dangerous player. At this point, you've got to think that your opponent's probably going to play an Archmage this turn, but where does he play it is the question. And
yeah, I think you're so far behind at this point that you can't think about Archmage at all. You just have to go with it. But it didn't die. Like, there wasn't enough damage to kill him. But the Archmage is not direct damage. It's this, but this is still going to give him the reach to kill him. I didn't, as we could see, play as Fern because it, as we know, it's not a very strong card in this matchup, and you'd be taking a bit of damage there. Wants to keep his health high, but sadly that does. I think Unforgiven just getting absolutely screwed by the draw in that one there. But another game going to Crazy Helm.
Well, that brings it to 2-1 and makes me a little bit happier.
Yeah, and that's the kind of Ariane matchup that you see more often. This very, very aggressive, face punch each other very, very quickly kind of style Ariane. I think that's the popular one at the moment, and that's the stronger one at the moment. But, so far this tournament, we have seen Lunar Books and Earth Blasts and all of these things being represented as well, and those are absolutely viable ways to play Ariane as well. So, no one way of doing things here, but this is the deck that I would expect to see from both players, that sort of very aggressive style of Ariane. But the score is now 2-1. In Crazy Helm's favour, by the looks of it. Crazy Helm can no longer play Linza. He can no longer play Ariane. So next up, we're going to be seeing either Raptor or Ozan out of his opponent.
Definitely. I mean, one quick thing there is a lot of people are saying about Joga Shaman in the chat. It is a very strong card, especially with the current editions of cards that add to your hand, like Cannonballs. So we should probably be expecting a lot more Joga Shamans in the upcoming games as well, I'd reckon.
Yeah, I see Llama's comment in the chat as well.
Yeah.
Books are still good. Gnome Healer for the win. Yeah. All right, so so we know what we're likely to see from Oxygen. Unforgiven, though, is can no longer play, Linza, and that's it. He's got everything open to him. So fully expecting to see Ariane and Raptor. I know Unforgiven's opinion on those classes. I don't think Ozan will see any play at all from Unforgiven. So there is that. And I really don't know. Well, we just saw him win with... His opponent just won with Ariane, so I fully expect Unforgiven to bring Raptor out now. He's got nothing to be worried about in terms of aggro. He might even take out some of the healing. He might even take out the rock crabs that I know are in his deck, because he knows he won't be running into Ariane. So, are you ready for game number 4 in this series?
I am. Let's go.
All right, 3, 2, 1, let's go. All right, so I'll just switch over to this perspective, because I left a note to do that. Okay, so we are going to see, by the looks of it, Crazy Helm here. Change his decks. No, this is Unforgiven's perspective because of the terrible quality. It looks like he did just take out the rock crab. So, I say what I said about it. It's not because I edited the videos together. I honestly forgot about this. What I mentioned him taking out the rock crab because I genuinely just expected him to do that based on having played with him so much in practice matches, preparing for this tournament. But it does put in the Dagon of Sentinel, and I absolutely can see why, right? It's so much, he knows he's not going to come across Ariane, so he doesn't need that extra health. There's plenty of health already in the deck with things like Coloromancers, and you get 4 armor here and there off Jad and all of these things. And the 1 extra AP is going to give his deck more consistency, and I think it's much, much better in the Raptor mirror, which is what we're seeing here.
Definitely. I mean, this should be an interesting one. We're seeing a nice Raptor mirror here. Uh, Given that we've seen Crazy's deck before, we could expect this to be quite an intense match.
Yeah, I wonder if he put, like, he already took out a rock crab, right? And put, no, he took out Tokash and put in a rock crab. So, actually, I don't like that change at all in this matchup. Whether or not the decks are still the same, I don't know. He could have changed them back. All of these things are possible. But coming out of Oxygen here, Crazy Helm going to be starting with KGP Agent. Really nice there. Get up that one extra attack. You really want to be starting with KGP Agents or playing them on Chapter 5. In between is the less good place to play. Still can be very relevant and useful. Looks like here, though, Unforgiven going to be face tanking the Wolf. He's going to take 5 damage for that. But the important thing here is he's going to get 2 gold. And that's exactly what he needs for that Monolith Chamber, right?
Definitely. I mean, as you've seen there, he just picked up a Tokash and he also picked up a Void Brawl as well, which is going to be beneficial for him there.
Yeah.
But looks like we're seeing Crazy Helm here, or Oxygen, going quite aggressive with the Slime Tones into Wilderness Player.
That is very aggressive.
It's going to deal 8 damage, putting him down to, was that 18?
Yeah, but I just don't think that damage is very relevant at all. This weapon, I feel like I'd much prefer to keep it and kill those big creatures that, you know, like Dagannoth Sentinels and things like that. I don't know how effective the Wildernesses are going to be overall, because I feel like you want to keep the Wildernesses until you have the ability to deal 30 or 40 damage in a single chapter. But, you know, Crazy Helm, definitely a very strong player, and we'll have to see what he has in mind. Maybe it's want to chuck down the Wilderness in fear of, you know, killing that. You couldn't kill that Jad, right? You didn't have enough attack to do that, and things like that. Maybe it was just to play it as a filler card. Maybe he, you know, realizes there's, you know, there could be still 2 Jads. He doesn't need 2 Wildernesses. He only needs 1, and half the time there's 2 Wildernesses in the deck anyway. Just there's the second one there. You only have 2 Wildernesses to improve draw consistency anyway. You don't actually need 2 Wildernesses. Oh, plays it.
Interesting. I'd rather go Nineth into... Is it Nineth?
Ice Nile.
Into Nile.
Nineth.
Nineth. I'm going to call it Nineth because it makes more sense. I'd play Nineth into Wilderness because...
Why does it make more sense? I don't know.
Because you're not taking...
no, I mean, like...
7 damage.
No, I mean, like... Oh, I see. I thought you meant the name. I thought you were saying the name made more sense. I don't understand.
No, the name makes no sense at all. But
okay,
hey.
Well, anyway, yeah, so he's going to kill that in 1 hit because he has the weapon to do that. Is he? I think here is either considering face tanking a Jad or maybe killing a Dark Beast to then kill a Jad. And, no, he's going to Dark Beast... This is playing hyper aggressive then. No, he's not sure.
He's thinking about his plays. He's really thinking about this. I think, I think that's the correct play.
I don't know about the Wilderness there, honestly. I would have rather have kept it. But
really?
Yeah, I just don't think there's any... I'm not sure if... Well, he's playing this matchup very differently to how I've been practicing playing this matchup with Unforgiven. But, you know, there's no... I don't know Unforgiven. I mean, I don't know Crazy Helm's deck quite as well as I know Unforgiven's deck. I know every single card in that deck. I could tell you all 30 of them. But, I don't know. We'll see here. I mean, that Wilderness could have hit a Slime Toes had, you know, we seen one come out of Unforgiven on slot 1, and that would have been very relevant here, because, you know, up against a Jad, yeah, he'd still have killed it, he'd have 1 durability left, but, you know, maybe he face tanks a second Jad or a Dagannoth Sentinel or something after the Jad, and takes a lot of damage, and as we know, he has Dark Beast in his hand already, and could, you know, find if his opponent took a lot of damage from a creature there, could absolutely kill him. So I can see the way he's playing this. Maybe I feel like Crazy Helm might be playing this matchup so differently to how I'm like expecting it to be played, because he knows he doesn't have perhaps a second Tokash in the deck, something like that, and he has to win it quickly.
Helm right now is his hand is pretty bad. Like, he didn't have any kind of real AP game besides. Ooh. Is he going to tank the Jad there? Besides the, you know, oh wow. I was going to say that'd
so
be
3, 4, 5. Wow. Okay, I can see it. It was a clean play if you're happy to take 15 damage from a Jad. He's going to kill that Void Brawl in a single hit. He's going to hit that Jad twice, but it'll bring him up to 5 attack, which lets him kill that Dark Beast twice, and then the 3 temporary attack will let him kill the old thing at the end there. But 2 Colonromancers do come out here, and you know, this is why I don't like the way the Wildernesses were played, because if you don't do any damage to them, they don't have the opportunity to heal this back. So you then do it all at once, and you know, the Colonromancers are basically dead cards in his hand, but actually they're very useful to Unforgiven right now, because he has taken damage. If you don't deal the damage in the first place, these cards are useless, but does heal back up to full, and you know, he can do that with a variety of other cards, like, you know, they're clearly the Ice Nile and clearly the Dagannoth Fledglings, and I think people like Wolf run Romley Weaklax. There's just so many ways to gain life with Raptor, and that's the reason for my play or discussion.
I completely think that's fine. It's interesting, but I honestly do feel like it boils down to what kind of draw Crazy Helm's had. I
Yeah.
mean, this play here, as you can see, is quite very when I say but quite, I mean very risky, just to get that extra AP so you can start killing things. It's an interesting match, but as you can see, yeah, even looking at the stats, Crazy Helm's currently in 6 AP with 2 gold, 9 health, and 7 armor, whereas Unforgiving's just sitting there with 7 AP, 30 health, and 8 armor going into chapter 4. It's in my opinion, it's quite heavily in favor of Unforgiving right now, especially with this, because most likely this chapter will see Oxygen play quite a few heals to get his health back up there, and not many temple cards, where we may see...
I don't know about... Look, this is where the big combo's coming down. Switch over to Unforgiven's perspective. It's Dark Beast into Tokash for... This is 30 damage and then a Wilderness afterwards for another 9. So this is 37 damage in one chapter, and this is how I was expecting the Wildernesses to be played here. Certainly it's going to gain some health, but you can't out-heal that. That's so monstrous.
It's an insane combo, but it requires a lot of build-up, so it's a thing.
Yeah, but I feel like it happens consistently due to the amount of cards in the deck that enable this, and it happens around chapter 4 and 5, and I feel like that's what Raptor's aiming to get to the whole game. This is a combo deck, and that's what this deck is trying to achieve, to just out-combo them out on chapter 4 or 5 or something like that. That does conclude that game, and Unforgiven bringing the score back up to 2-2.
Yep. It's now 2-2.
Yeah, I think what happened there is, Oxygen's playstyle was very aggressive. There was those wildernesses. I think they were placed in positions where they might, kill a Sergeant Slimetoe's weapon or something like that. And then if his opponent had face tanked like a Diagonal Sentinel or a Jad, could have, he had the Dark Beast and all of these things. He could have actually gotten into a point where he could combo him out quite quickly, but didn't manage to. The Wilderness hitting a weapon didn't actually pay off for him, and Unforgiven playing the matchup in perhaps the more standard way actually does take the victory there for that one.
That was a very interesting match. It was quite intense as well. I mean, you can see the level of caliber these players have with the previous games, and it's come down to the wire once again. It's going to be the decider match, round 5.
Yeah, round 5. This is the final game. The score is 2-2, and your Kale is getting pretty. How are you feeling about that?
Not very good right now.
Yeah.
I was expecting, them to win 3-0, no problem. Jobs are couldn't.
Yeah, for those of you that don't know, perhaps tuned in just now, we do have Unforgivens and Zalx's, who's casting with me, Kales on the line, which is obviously a card in the game. They'll be disenchanting that depending on the outcome of this match, which is really quite interesting. I don't know, I like this kind of thing. We'll probably see more videos on Reddit about this later, potentially. Yes, but going into game number 5 in this series, the decider, our players are ready because it's pre-recorded, and so are we. Let's get into this. Game number 5, about to get underway in 3, 2, 1. Let's go. Alright. So just to make sure you're synced up with me, so that's perfect here. Yep. What are we looking at? So this is Crazy Helm just checking his deck, didn't actually change anything, but gonna be playing Ozan. This is kind of, like, Unforgiven was telling me he was expecting Ozan from, and I was like, no, he won't bring Ozan, it's not good anymore, but he knows that Crazy Helm is one of I think the best Ozan player in the game currently. So the fact that, Ozan is coming out, I think was predictable. But equally, I wasn't certain if he'd bring it or not. Let's see what he has. What is this deck, Zalx?
To be honest with you, I'm looking into it right now, and it looks like it's an aggressive Ozan coming in from Crazy Helm.
Yeah. Looks like Zalx will be back in just a moment. Does look like an aggressive Ozan, and every card in here makes so much sense. I'm really, really excited to see what this deck is. I know Crazy Helm is an excellent deck builder, and I'd love it for him to bring Ozan back into popularity. I think at the moment he's not quite as good as Ariane, and I think Ariane's going to be able to do a lot more damage more quickly, and the fact that, you get punished quite hard for your things like Skeleton Champion and the Ketzex is, but it looks like he wants to keep this whole hand. Let's switch over to Unforgiven, see what he has. Double Wind Surge, and a Fern, and Archmage Segredor, and that is absolutely everything he needs. He's going to be very happy with that hand here. We'll have to see how it plays out.
It's an interesting start. Sorry about that, by the way, I got interrupted.
Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, it's a very aggressive start from Unforgiven. It looks like, not Unforgiven, Crazy Helm with the Desert Snake and the Kedzak. Meanwhile, though, you have Fern. Oh my god, that Fern is. Oh, okay, that Fern's gonna hit the
Yeah, it's going to hit that snake. Is there anything at the end of the chapters, Alex? I'm not sure.
At the end of whose chapter?
At the end of Oxygen's chapter. Yeah, there's a Ketzek there. I really like that desert snake placement. I think, Unforgiven clearly thinking of, Crazy Helm clearly thinking about where he might expect to find a Fern. In slot 1 or slot 2, the Fern is going to hit this desert snake rather than his Ketzek at the end. And that was thought out because he started with Darren Lightfinger, and then before, that's going to make his D-Long cheaper. It's still going to do that. That's coming up after this card, but he was playing around these griefing cards and wanted the snake to tank that. And that's absolutely what it did. If Unforgiven, because if he'd moved it up a slot, the Fern swapped it with the, if he'd moved to slot 3 there, it would have hit that Ketzek, and this game would be very, very in favor of Unforgiven, because you don't want to take 12 damage. That's so much damage, but does dodge it. Really nice placements. And, looks like he's going to be, fairly even neck and neck, and he has the weapon already. This is an explosive start from Ozan. I think you have to... I think honestly, you can't normally start that quickly as Ozan. It takes a bit more build up than Ariane, and you can't really match what Ariane does as quickly as she can do it. Definitely. And I think actually is in a very good spot here, this Ozan. So Crazy Helm going to be very happy about where he is at this point in the game.
So we see a snapshot in Crazy Helm's hand there, and we also see a wind surge in Unforgiven's. It's going to be an extremely close game. Oh, he draws the Wilderness as well.
So he even finds the cards he needs. It doesn't have any gold. It's just Wilderness. This is the problem. It's so janky sometimes because you have to have a big hand to make it work because there's so many cards that need combo. This is why Ozan is so dodgy. He's only playing one card, but he managed to get his opponent down low enough. That's 7, 8, 9 damage. It's not going to kill him unless... It's all down to whether or not this one attack Ariane will take some damage. Most of the time, they will be okay with doing that. He's going to take 2 damage from that Haunted Soul.
If he just takes that 2 damage, it'll lose the game.
Yeah, he doesn't know that, though. But you can conceivably anticipate an Ariane to do damage to herself. She uses her health as a resource to deal damage to the enemy there. And this 2 damage that he's going to take is what will lose him the game. That top deck Wilderness won Crazy Helm the game there. And does use Ozan to bring himself into the next round.
Holy hell. That was a really fast game. Really aggressive game from both players.
Yeah.
And Crazy Helm takes the game with 3-2.
Yeah, 3-2. Going through to the next series, your Kale is safe. And Unforgiven is eliminated from the tournament, which, is surprising, really. I honestly thought Unforgiven would edge him there. And, considering this final matchup, I was thinking Unforgiven would be more favored there. I think, it was he needed that Wilderness. I think I'm tempted to say that any other combination of cards wouldn't actually have won him the game there. I'm tempted to say that, but of course there's so many cards and so many combinations that's a silly thing to say, really. But I do think, Crazy Helm got very, very lucky there, I think.
Yeah. Sorry to jump in there, but I've just been sent a video by Crazy Helm there of him disenchanting his Kale.
Look, that's funny. So the Kale has been gone. He lived up to his word. Very close series, and I'm really excited to see what Oxygen will bring to the next round. I know he's a good deck builder, and I'd love to see more of that Ozan there. Maybe it is more consistent than I'm making out. It's just that's my opinion of Ozan, and that's the reason I didn't really anticipate bringing it to my tournament games. But we can't underestimate the way he just won that game. Clearly some good placement with the snake. Crazy Helm knows what he's doing. The deck is very well built from what I've seen. The question is, how consistent is it? And it might be very, very. It might be good. I really want to see how far he can take the deck. And of course, it's those sort of edge case fringe decks that usually, when you can surprise your opponent with something, it can be very strong. So
you're completely right. I mean, just recapping before we go into the final, before we take a break, should I say, that's currently Oxygen, Glenn, and Holy Llama that's advancing to the semi-finals. That leaves us 1 game left, which I believe is you versus...
Yeah, the next matchup is me playing. It is Interjection versus Master Frumple, so stay tuned for that one. Be coming up next. But well played to Oxygen and Unforgiven. Another very close series. Every game we've watched so far has been all 5 games, neck and neck.
Yep.
And again, very excited to see what decks Oxygen brings to the next round of the tournament. So thank you very much for watching, guys. We're now going to take a quick 2-minute break, and we will return shortly. So don't go anywhere, or go somewhere, grab yourself whatever you want, a beer, tea, I keep saying that, whatever you want. Do it. We'll be right back.
Deep in the Hall of Legends is a magical tome.